Good evening. Today brings the conclusion of notable prosecutions under the Mann Act. So we pick up in 1959 with Kid Khan, a mobster who was convicted and then acquitted on appeal. Now, Kid Khan was born Isidore Blumenfeld, a Jewish mobster who, to this day, remains the most notorious mobster out of Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota had mobsters. He was prosecuted and convicted for transporting a prostitute from Chicago to Minnesota. The conviction was overturned on appeal. Now, in 1961, he was prosecuted and convicted of jury tampering regarding his Mann Act case of 1959. It is stated that he offered $25,000 in a bribe to a juror. Now that brings us to 1960 and a name that you may be familiar with. What is that name? Charles Manson. Mm-hmm. Cult leader. Charges were subsequently dropped. It was alleged that he took two prostitutes from California to New Mexico to work. That brings us to 1962 and another notable name, Chuck Berry. Yes, that Chuck Berry, musician. He was convicted. In January 1962, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for transporting a 14-year-old girl across state lines. Now that brings us to 2008. Cult leader Tony Alamo, with his wife Susan Alamo, uh, she died April 1982. They founded the Alamo Christian Foundation in 1969, which is a cult within the United States. Now, September 2008, Alamo was arrested. In 2009, convicted for child rape offenses, 10 counts of interstate transportation of minors, for illegal sexual purposes, rape, sexual assault, and contributing to the delinquency of minors. He was sentenced to 175 years, which is the max, behind bars. Now, May 2017, he kicked the bucket in prison. Couldn't have happened to a better fella. Now, in 2010, Brian David Mitchell was convicted. Was he? He's a preacher. Yeah. June 5th, 2002, he kidnapped Elizabeth Smart. That Elizabeth Smart. If you remember from another series I told you, we will be getting to another Elizabeth Smart, from her Federal Heights, Salt Lake City, Utah home. Now, for 9 months with his wife, Wanda Barzee held Smart captive within the outskirts of Salt Lake City and San Diego, California. March 12th of 03, it was discovered in Sandy, Utah, approximately 18 miles from Smart's home. 2009, Barzee was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. September 19th, 2018, Barzee was released early due to previously uncredited time served. Now, Mitchell, according to forensic psychologists, was diagnosed with antisocial and narcissistic personality disorder, and in 2010 was deemed mentally capable to stand trial. 2011, Mitchell was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. That brings us to 2012 with Jack Schott, a megachurch pastor convicted under the Mann Act. He was the pastor of First Baptist Church, and he was a pastor of First Baptist Church, and he was a Hyles-Anderson College chancellor. He pled guilty to the transporting of a 16-year-old girl across state lines for sex. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. That brings us to 2021, and probably one of the most notable cases that everyone followed and probably didn't know that this person was convicted under the Mann Act, and that would be Robert R. Kelly, musician, convicted. He's convicted regarding violations of the Mann Act and RICO, Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations Act, for all things detailing all of his crimes, because I don't have enough time here nor enough patience, and how I describe him will definitely get me banned off the internet. You feel free to Google all of that, or check out the plethora of documentaries regarding that. Then that brings us to 2021, and I'm pretty sure you know this name. If you don't, then you know her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell, a socialite, convicted. In July 2020, she was arrested and charged with enticement of minors and sex trafficking of underage girls. She worked as a recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein, although she was married to someone else. Did you know that? Did you? Did you? December 29th of 2021, she was convicted of 5 out of 6 counts regarding the sex trafficking of minors and sentenced to 20 years. That does it, like I said, for the most notable that were prosecuted under the Mann Act. Tomorrow we will talk about miscellaneous notable cases under the Mann Act. Till tomorrow.